So Sabretooth, who was originally named Victor Creed, was born in the mid-late 1820s in what would later be known as the Northwest Territories of Canada, British North America. Eventually, his father, Thomas Logan, had another son named James Howlett with a woman named Elizabeth Howlett. Then one night in 1845, Victor visited his younger half-brother James, who was sick in bed. Victor, while filing his abnormally long fingernails with a knife, noted that James is always sick. James then said Victor was sick when he was his age. But just then, John Howlett arrived to check in on him and was greeted by Victor, who quickly stood up, hiding his fingernails and knife behind his back. John greeted him back. However, John didn't realize that Victor was still at the house, so the latter explained that he was just keeping James company, hoping it was okay. John answered by saying Victor was very kind for doing so. Victor then observed John tending to James, who assured him that his cold was just a mild fever and that he would pull through. After John asked if James has been taking his medicine, Victor's father and John's groundskeeper Thomas, who was having an affair with John Howlett's wife, entered the Howlett home, looking for Elizabeth Howlett. John realized that Victor's father was drunk again and suggested that Victor should go help his father home. But Victor informed John that it wasn't his name being called. John then headed downstairs to settle a dispute with Victor's father, and James called out to him. But John told James to stay where he was, with Victor following behind John. James heard gunfire at the estate and went to investigate, only to find John shot by Thomas. After James tended to John, Thomas tried to explain to James the truth about this situation, but John's wife Elizabeth begged Thomas not to tell James, but Thomas said that he needed James to know and that there would be no more lies. But just then, under this grief-stricken incident, in an act of vengeance, James's mutation began to manifest as he sprouted bone claws, slowly emerging from his fists and knuckles, witnessed by Elizabeth, Thomas, and Victor. In a wild rage, James screamed in anger and ran towards Thomas, who tried to stop him by gunning him down with his rifle, but was stopped by Elizabeth. Soon after, James impaled Thomas, much to everyone's surprise. However, with his dying breaths, Thomas revealed that John wasn't James's real father, much to his horror, and called him son. Elizabeth, horrified by James's mutation, questioned James as to what he was. Confused about what was happening to him, James fled into the woods and was followed by Victor. Victor caught up and overtook James, who frantically said he didn't mean to kill Thomas, but Victor said, "Yes, you did. He deserved it, and you gave it to him." Victor told James that they were brothers, asking if James realized that, and brothers to protect each other. Victor told James that they have to be hard enough so nothing can touch them. James wanted to go home, but Victor said that they can't, and they have to stick together no matter what, and take care of anyone who gets in their way. Victor asked his younger brother if he can do that, and James nodded in agreement. The two brothers noticed a search party looking for them, and Victor asked if James could run, which James clarified. As Victor and James run into the woods, Victor tells James keep running and to not look back. So over the next 128 years, as the two boys grew into men, James and Victor fought bravely together as Canadian mercenaries for the United States in numerous wars. The two brothers participated in many wars throughout their years together. In the American Civil War, they helped President Lincoln and General Grant on the Union side. In World War I, they fought on the Western Front. In the World War II, both participating in the D-Day invasion. And during the Vietnam War, they fought using their mutant powers. However, while fighting all these wars, Victor grew increasingly violent and uncontrolled as time passed. So during the Vietnam War in mid-late 1973, the last war James and Victor participated in, Victor attacked and attempted to rape and kill a young Vietnamese village woman. But when soldiers from his platoon and commanding officer try to stop him, Victor kills a senior officer and then brutally attacks the soldiers who tried to stop him. James then comes to his aid and reluctantly assists Victor by releasing his claws and prepares to defend his brother, ready to fight as they promised, revealing their gifts to the other men in their unit. For their grave insubordination, this incident led to Victor and James being sentenced to death and placed in front of a firing squad to be executed after decapitating a senior officer. They are shot by a firing squad, but they do not die, as their healing factors, which kept them alive, prove hard to kill them. They survived the execution and death sentence, and because of their unique regenerative healing abilities, both mutants are placed in a cell soon after. James and Victor were eventually brought to the attention of Major William Stryker, who visited and confronted them as he entered their cell. Stryker asks them to join his special team of mutants he is assembling, Team X, as a way out of imprisonment. After inviting them to join his all-mutant Black Ops team, Victor and Logan accept and join other mutants, Wade Wilson, Agent Zero, Chris Bradley, Fred Dukes, and John Wraith, on covert missions throughout the world. During one of their missions, while under Stryker's command, Team X is sent to search for and retrieve a mysterious meteorite, later discovered as adamantium, from a diamond trafficking operation in Lagos, Nigeria. They attack a compound there, and after defeating the compound's security forces, they obtain a mysterious rock from the compound's leader and discover that it originates from a remote village. Upon arriving at the village, Stryker and the team interrogated nearby villagers to see if there were any other meteorites and were informed that the rock fell from the sky as a meteor. Stryker wants more information and has Wade Wilson interrogate in his place because he speaks the language. When they threatened the village as to where the meteorite came from, the village chief refused to tell Stryker the origins of the meteorites, as they believed them to be sacred. After receiving no further answers, Stryker orders his team to attack the villagers by first ordering Victor to kill the chief. The whole village descended into chaos as Stryker's team started killing the civilians. When the mutants begin attacking a nearby village, James, however, stops them before they can do so. Then, after a brief argument with Victor, James quits the team, saying he can't kill innocent people as he was disgusted by the murders committed by his teammates when the latter witnessed Stryker's willingness to kill innocent civilians and Victor's acceptance of this. He promptly leaves and abandons Victor and the group before walking into the night and leaving while ignoring Victor's calling out to him. With his departure, Team X disbands. Eventually, after everyone else left, only Agent Zero and Victor stayed faithful to Stryker. Victor and Stryker subsequently worked together to capture various mutants for experiments. During this time, Victor captured Emma Silverfox, the sister of Kayla Silverfox, for experimentation. Then, 6 years later, Victor begins to hunt down the other former members of Team X, killing them off one by one and extracting their DNA. Chris Bradley is the first one to be killed, at a carnival where he lived. One night after the carnival was closed and Bradley was in his trailer, he heard someone knocking on the door. Bradley tries telling them that the show's over, but the person at the door persists. Bradley goes to open the door and reiterates the show's over, but was shocked that it was Victor. Victor then asked if Bradley was going to invite him in, which the latter decided to do. Bradley informs Victor that he never said a word about what happened and is living a whole new life now. Victor then unscrewed a light bulb and protruded his claws, making Bradley nervous and shut off the still glowing light bulb. Bradley then says he always thought it would be Wade come knocking on his door. Victor nonchalantly says that Wade's gone, implying that he killed him. Victor then approaches Bradley, who says he's not afraid of Victor. Victor asks how Bradley knows, for he's never tried it. Bradley then becomes increasingly worried after realizing what Victor was trying to say. Victor then unceremoniously kills him. As this happened, Bradley was heard screaming and his technopathy caused the whole carnival to lose power. So Victor had agreed to go along with Stryker's plan to trick Logan into agreeing to have adamantium bonded to his skeleton by claiming that Victor had gone rogue and Kayla Silverfox, Logan's girlfriend, was supposedly killed in order to lure Logan for the adamantium process of the Weapon X program. One day, while Logan is at work, Kayla is attacked by Victor. Sensing Victor's presence in the area, he rushes to Kayla's abandoned car, but finds that he is too late for any kind of rescue. Kayla is dead and understands that this is Victor's doing. That evening, a furious and grieving Wolverine found Victor in a bar and asked him why he killed her. Victor replied by saying, "How else am I going to get your attention?" While Logan was in a state of rage, the two lunged themselves after each other and fought in the bar. After a brutal fight, Victor easily defeated Logan and savagely snapped off his bone claws on his left hand before leaving. Later, Victor captured a teenage Scott Summers for Stryker. When Wraith accompanied Logan to New Orleans to find Gambit, upon arriving at a New Orleans casino, John covered the exits of the casino and went onto a balcony in an attempt to keep a lookout for trouble, but saw Victor and chased him down an alleyway where he fought him. When confronting Victor, John said that Victor's black coat doesn't scare him, and Victor then said that it worked well on Dukes, hinting that he killed him. After Victor revealed he had killed Fred, John became infuriated and attacked Victor. Knowing that he killed Bradley, Wade, and apparently Dukes, John fights Victor with the intention of killing him, despite having agreed to leave him for Wolverine. John uses his teleportation ability to his advantage and manages to strike Victor multiple times, and he initially appears to gain the upper hand. But Victor, however, grew tired of being punched and predicting John's move. He eventually grabbed John's spine by positioning his hand in exactly the right place to grab it as John appears and materializes, mortally wounding him. As Victor gripped John, who was in mid-teleportation, by the spine, before snapping it, Victor quoted that John was becoming predictable by using a single strategy while holding onto and soon crushing his spine as John died trying to phase out of the hold. Victor then collected a blood sample of John's DNA for the weapon project. On the other hand, Logan, after being attacked by Gambit, sees Wraith's dead body with Victor crouching next to it. Collecting samples of Wraith's DNA, enraged, after knocking out Gambit, Logan engages Victor. While the brothers battle, Logan gains the upper hand and nearly prepares to kill Victor. However, Gambit, who regained consciousness during the battle, attacks Logan from a rooftop, allowing Victor to escape. Later, when Logan arrives on the island, he finds Stryker, who tells him about Deadpool and reveals that Kayla wasn't really killed, as she is revealed to be alive and was reluctantly working for Stryker. As Victor is watching through the window from a nearby room, Wolverine was told that Victor and Stryker were subsequently working together to capture various mutants, culminating in tricking Wolverine into agreeing to have adamantium bonded to his skeleton by claiming that Victor had gone rogue and had killed the woman Wolverine loved. She had at some point been recruited by Stryker for the purpose of seducing Logan and creating an incident where he was compelled to join the Weapon X program and participate in the adamantium procedure. In this case, her faked death. This hurt Logan deeply, and feeling betrayed after learning this, he decided to leave the facility and move on with his life. Shortly after Logan's departure, while Kayla is confronting Stryker about freeing her sister, Emma, Victor becomes angry at Stryker, both for letting Logan go and for reneging on their deal to bond adamantium to his body, and demands the adamantium procedure. The animosity between Victor and Logan was made even worse when Stryker revealed that, contrary to his deal with Victor, he cannot merge adamantium to his skeleton because it would kill him, as his healing factor is less powerful than Logan's and isn't strong enough to allow him to survive the process. Kayla tried to persuade Victor that Stryker was only using them. Victor then turns his murderous eyes to Kayla and, in an act of rage, chokes her and threatens her with death. Grasping Kayla's throat, Victor promised to kill her for real this time. Kayla tried to use her powers on Victor, but this didn't work on him due to his healing factor granting him psychic resistance. So Wolverine, having heard Kayla's screams and calls of distress, rushes back to her rescue and returns to engage and fight Victor yet again. Wolverine attacks Victor and they battle each other, with Logan ultimately gaining the upper hand, and after defeating him in combat, Wolverine manages to pin his half-brother down and is in a position to kill Victor. When Logan finally has the chance to decapitate and kill Victor, he doesn't. Kayla then intervenes and talks Logan out of it, as she had convinced him that he would be no better than Stryker, saying that Logan was not an animal while Victor taunts him. Logan, listening to Kayla's pleas, chooses not to give in to his animal instincts, instead punches and knocks out Victor, thus sparing his brother. Logan then faces Deadpool alone and eventually climbs one of the nuclear reactors. Deadpool follows in an instant using Wraith's teleportation ability. Logan puts forth his best effort, but is pinned down. Just as Deadpool is about to decapitate him, Victor joins to help Logan as he shoves Deadpool away, and both of them fall into the reactor. Victor catches Logan, explaining to Logan that the only reason he saved him was so he could kill him himself by saying, "Nobody kills you but me." Logan and Victor eventually tag team and end up back to back with Deadpool teleporting in front of each of them back and forth. Eventually they catch and stab him, but he teleports across the reactor. During the fight, Deadpool's built-in optic blasts activate, threatening both Logan and Victor. As Deadpool fires his optic blasts, Victor attacks Deadpool as he fires on Logan with his optic blasts. Logan falls over the edge of the reactor as Victor is caught jumping at Deadpool and shot back. Logan climbs back onto the reactor, and just as Deadpool is blasting Victor into the ground. Just before Deadpool can kill Victor, Logan runs, jumps, and slashes Deadpool through the neck, successfully decapitating him. Deadpool holds his neck as Logan kicks him into the nuclear reactor cooling tower, his head falling off as he tumbles below, with the lasers of his optic blasts, which are still activated and still firing. After defeating Deadpool, Logan helps Victor out of the hole and coldly informs Victor that, despite his help, their relationship was over and tells him they're done, with nothing being changed, as Logan states he wants nothing more to do with him. Victor said they can never be finished and simply reminded Logan that they are still brothers and tells him that brothers should always still look out for each other. Victor then jumped off the side of the reactor cooling tower. Very little is known of most of Victor's life after his departure from 3 Mile Island. However, in the next few years, he somehow reacquainted himself with Stryker and rejoined the Weapon X program, this time as a test subject. Then a lot of experiments were conducted on him, and at some point he finally underwent Weapon X experimentation and was mutated into an even more bestial creature. He became bigger and stronger, and was much more feral in disposition. His mutation also erased his memory of his life prior to the point of the procedure. Additionally, he took on the name Sabretooth. At some point, he associates himself with Magneto and joins him, Mystique and Toad, in what would later become the Brotherhood of Mutants. Sabretooth's primary reason for joining was that Magneto promised to aid him in rediscovering his past life. After working with Magneto for some time, Magneto sends Sabretooth to hunt down and capture a mutant called Rogue. He eventually locates her in Canada, traveling with Wolverine. He finds them and hurdles a tree trunk over for them to crash into so that he could attack Wolverine and abduct Rogue. Wolverine walks over to help Rogue, but his hyperactive senses pick on the scent of Sabretooth. Suddenly, Sabretooth jumps out of the woods and fights Wolverine. Then before Sabretooth can do any further damage, two figures show up behind to stop Sabretooth, who were Cyclops and Storm. Cyclops puts his hand to his visor and shoots a powerful optic blast at Sabretooth. After figuring out that the situation is now out of hand, Sabretooth manages to escape with only Wolverine's dog tags and returns to Magneto's base. So Sabretooth enters and walks past Toad to Magneto's room. Magneto asks him what happened, and Sabretooth tells him that they knew and that the mutant is with them. Magneto tells him that the Leaders' Summit is approaching and they need to be prepared. After informing Magneto of the situation, Sabretooth takes the dog tags for himself. Later, while Senator Kelly is in captivity at Magneto's base, Magneto enters the holding area by bending the bars of the other side and asks the Senator how he is feeling as Sabretooth enters after him. To their surprise, the cell is empty. Magneto removes the bars and looks through the hole. Kelly is there, holding to the rock wall, yelling at them and asking what they have done to him. Magneto laughs and tells him that what he's doing is pointless, as he has no place to go. Sabretooth tries to pull Kelly back up, but his hand stretches and slips. Kelly screams and falls into the water. Magneto leaves and in his anger, closes the bars again, locking Sabretooth in the cell. Later, when Mystique, disguised as Bobby Drake, encouraged Rogue to leave the X-Mansion, Sabretooth and Toad pursued her to the station. In the station, Storm gives the ticket agent a description of Rogue, but before he can tell her if he saw her, Sabretooth shows up, scaring everyone, grabs her throat, lifts her and growls. Cyclops rushes to help her, but Toad, who is clinging to the wall, sends out his long tongue and removes his visor, making him shoot a powerful optic blast at the ceiling, breaking a hole through it. Everybody run hysterically as Scott shuts his eyes and Aurora almost loses consciousness. But her eyes start glowing white, and a lightning comes through the ceiling and hits Sabretooth, sending him flying through the opposite wall. Toad hops rapidly to him and tells him to stop fooling around. Ultimately, the Brotherhood was successful in capturing Rogue at Salem Center's train station. Then, with Sabretooth and Toad standing at both Magneto's sides, he leaves the station only to find it surrounded by dozens of police cars. A police officer orders him to stay where he is and put his hands above his head, an order that Magneto follows. He raises his hands and two police cars in the process, and then drops the cars on two other cars. All officers immediately aim their guns at him, but he easily pulls the guns out of their hands and directs them at them. Suddenly, Sabretooth grabs Magneto's neck and says, "That's enough, Eric," and Toad says, "Let them go." Magneto figures out what is happening and yells, "Why don't you come out where I can see you, Charles?" Xavier, who is sitting in a car nearby with Jean Grey, telepathically asks Magneto what he needs Rogue for, and Magneto answers, "Can't you read my mind?" and points to his helmet. He continues trying to convince Xavier that he is right, saying that if they will pass that law, they will have all mutants chained with numbers burned to their foreheads. Xavier says that it will not be that way, and Magneto tells him to kill him and find out. When Xavier does not respond, Magneto tells him that in that case he should release him. When again he gets no response, he aims a gun at an officer with his powers and fires. Everybody gasps, but when they open their eyes to see what happened, they find the bullet stuck in midair, barely an inch away from the officer. Magneto then aims all the guns at all the officers and tells Xavier that he will not be able to stop them all. Xavier looks at Jean, sighs, and releases his mental hold on Sabretooth and Toad. Magneto then tells his old friend that his weakness is that he is still not willing to make sacrifices, and just then, Mystique arrives in a helicopter. Magneto, Toad, and Sabretooth holding Rogue step inside, and they take off, while all guns and the bullet drop to the ground. A boat is approaching the Statue of Liberty, where the UN summit is about to take place. The man driving the boat waves at the man waiting for it on the shore. Sabretooth shows up and knocks out the man on the shore, and the driver reveals to be Mystique. Afterwards, Sabretooth joins Magneto, who has restrained the X-Men and removes Scott's visor, forcing him to close his eyes. Scott orders Storm to fry him, but Magneto reminds him that it's not a good idea to send a bolted lightning into a huge conductive. Later, as Sabretooth approaches Storm, telling her, "You owe me a scream," Logan uses all his might to release himself with the claws, seemingly hurting himself, and Jean yells his name in worry. Sabretooth approaches his body, and just then, Logan leaps at him and pops his claws in his stomach. Sabretooth seems to share Wolverine's healing factor, and they start battling on the statue's head. So during the battle, Wolverine recovers his dog tags. Sabretooth throws Wolverine off the statue, but he manages to cling on and jump up. He beats Sabretooth and hears Rogue scream in pain. He falls down and sticks his claws to the wall to hang on it, almost killing Scott and Jean, who are on the other side of the wall. Sabretooth thinks he is dead and walks to Storm, only for Wolverine to jump back in with Cyclops' visor. Jean tells Scott that when she tells him, he should open his eyes. Jean telekinetically places the visor on Scott's eyes and says, "Now!" And he shoots, blasting Sabretooth through the wall, who crashes into a boat anchored off Liberty Island. So, following the incident on Liberty Island and the dissolution of Magento's Brotherhood, Sabretooth, now on his own, begins to stalk Logan. Once the latter reaches Alberta, en route to Alkali Lake, he makes his presence known. The two soon engage in combat, and Logan quickly discovers that Sabretooth has a regenerative healing factor, like himself. After fighting for a while, the battle reaches a climax when both are doused in gasoline. Wolverine gambles that of the two, he would survive if set aflame. After igniting the gasoline, he proves to be correct as Sabretooth writhes in pain. Sabretooth is then hurtled by Wolverine into a nearby snowbank. Just as he's about to kill Sabretooth, Wolverine notices a dog tag on him that's very similar to his own. Questioning him on the matter, Sabretooth responds that he has always possessed it. In order to find further answers, Wolverine offers to buy Sabretooth a few drinks at a local bar. At the bar, both Logan and Sabretooth share what they know about each other in order to shed light on their connected past. During this conversation, Sabretooth states that his real name is Victor Creed, and that prior to 5 years ago, his memory was mostly blank, implying that, like Logan, his memory was wiped. Victor also states that the reason he joined and worked for Magneto was that the latter promised to help in disclosing his past. Before they can continue their conversation, Hydra forces break into the bar and confront the two mutants. Although their original intention was to apprehend Victor, the soldiers quickly refocus their efforts on both men. Logan and Victor work together to fend off the attacking Hydra, which prompts Victor to state that their fighting side by side seemed familiar to him. Unfortunately, Victor is soon heavily tranquilized, and Logan is rendered unconscious through the use of a sonic disruptor. Once unconscious, they are ordered to be taken to an undisclosed covert ops base run by William Stryker. A while later, both wake up in the cargo hold of an aircraft en route to the base. As Logan attempts to escape by ripping through the fuselage, Victor grabs his neck and threatens to throw him off the plane. Although claiming that Logan doesn't deserve to learn about his past, Logan himself suspects that Creed is saving him, something that Victor doesn't necessarily deny. However, Victor then rationalizes that what he is doing is payback for the incident on Liberty Island. Just as Hydra soldiers confront the mutants, Victor disposes of Logan, who crashes into a frozen river. Victor is then taken to the covert base in order to be operated on by Weapon X scientists, specifically to have adamantium grafted to his skeletal structure. Just as Stryker predicted years before, Victor's body rejects the adamantium. After this, we don't have any official information on what happened to Sabretooth, but it's stated that despite failing to get adamantium in his skeleton like his brother, he managed to survive and escape. So it's possible that he is still out there somewhere living his life in the wild. If you guys have any solid information about him, make sure to tell me in the comments. So yeah, that's all for this video, and thanks for watching.